even when the Brewers lose, it is difficult finding fault with the Brewers. They did get beat by St. Louis. We'll get to that and a whole lot more on this edition of Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is tough to find fault with these guys. There's so many areas that they're playing well in. It's really difficult to find and criticize these guys. Even though they lose the game 7-4, in baseball, you're going to lose games. All right, you're just going to lose games. Now, if they go on an extended losing streak, that might be a different story here. But you're not going to go 162-0. I think everybody knows. So, but I mean, this team has just been so consistent and has played so well and is so fun to watch. It's difficult to really come down on these guys when they have an off night. And it wasn't really all that off of a night at all. We'll get to that coming up next. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Get us on Google, Spotify, Apple. Please hit us up on YouTube as well. Subscribe. That's all the content is free. We'll talk about that a little bit later on here in the show. But yeah, the Brewers lose 7-4, and it was a game. I was tweeting with a buddy of mine who covers the Cardinals in St. Louis. I said, the Brewers are just going to find a way to win this game. I don't know what it is, but they're just going to find a way to win. I was wrong, but most of the time, a lot of times this year, I've been right. They've been finding ways to just pull out a close game when it doesn't, looks like they might not win. I mean, even tonight, Willie Adames comes through that base hit in the bottom of the 11th inning on that sinking line drive to center field. Cardinal fan says it was a catch. It was a no catch. No catch. He did not have control of it. That is an honest, unbiased opinion. No catch. Adames with the double there. God, it would have been great if they would have scored. It would have been great if they would have scored there, because it would just turn that into the Cardinals fans and the Cardinals just a little bit more had the Brewers won that, because we owe them a lot over the years. So that would have been great had Adames been able to score. And that was the inning, I believe, that Perkins stranded the runner on second base. So anyway, the Brewers, you can't find much thought. I mean, you look at bullpen. Are you going to criticize anything in the bullpen? Well, Devin Williams does his job. All these guys have Bryan Hudson, who went on the injured list, has been doing his job. We'll talk more about him. He didn't go on the injured list. He got sent down to AAA. We'll talk more about that. But you can't criticize the bullpen. Okay, we can't criticize the bullpen because the bullpen has just been so fantastic. The starting pitching, well, it's a no-name starting staff. You could say all you want about Freddie Peralta not being an ace, but he sure has pitched like it in his last 4 starts. Colin Ray, Tobias Myers, who's ever heard of those two guys? But they just go out and continue to churn out quality starts. Okay, Tobias wasn't great in his last outing, but, he held his own. Savale, well, not exactly a marquee trade the Brewers made, but you'll take, other than that first inning, you'll take what Savale did. Montes, all these guys, that starting rotation, guys who've come up and done the job, even a Robert Gasser before he got hurt. You look at the offense, well, Willie Adames had his streak of 5 straight homers come to an end. But Willie is having a career year. Man, a career year and a contract year, and we're talking about whether we should pay this guy $35 million. Okay, Willie, can't criticize Willie Adames. Ortiz has come in at third base. Not a lot expected of Ortiz this year, but he has filled in at third base where there was a vacancy over there, and the Brewers did nothing about third base in the offseason, and Ortiz ends up playing third base and does a lot of great things, a lot of upside to Ortiz yet. Third base is not going to be his permanent home, but he's playing third base because there's a need over there at third base. He won the job over there and has been doing great. Bryce Terang at second base. Yeah, you would have liked to see him get the game-winning base hit in extra innings, a little tapper back to the mound, but still, more than not, Bryce Terang has been terrific for the Brewers this year. Should have been an all-star. Okay, even though he went through a little bit of a slide there in July. First base, yeah, say what you want about Rhys Hoskins. We want him to hit 290. He's never hit more than 246, I think, in a full-time season. He's got 23, 24 home runs. I wanted 35 this year. He's not going to get there. But I would say Bryce Hoskins is probably going to be back on the team next year. I would be surprised if Hoskins accepted did not accept the $18 million that'll be mutually agreed to next year. And then he would be on the team for next year and then become a free agent the following year, I believe how it works. But I don't think he will pass up the $18 million to try the free agent market because he hasn't done enough this year. Unless his agent really has some feelers out there and has an idea that Rhys can get some big time cash out there. And the outfield, Yelich goes down. Brewers just Churio, again, another home run. He's one more home run away from becoming a 2020 guy. And we can just continue. We glow at every podcast, I feel, about Jackson Churio. What more can be said about him? Center field spot, some days can be an issue. Right field, Sal Frelick. I do wonder what the upside is on Sal Frelick. Okay. If he's going to hit 2 or 3 home runs a season, he darn well better hit close to 300. Okay. I think there's more to Frelick. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure on that, I should say, with Frelick. The jury is out whether or not there's more there with Frelick. I'm hoping there is more. Let's put it that way. Maybe not. We'll find out. But that's just to name a few of the guys around. Of course, Will Contreras behind the plate. What more can Will do? Will's been fantastic this year, an all-star. These guys play the high baseball IQ. It was on ESPN Lacrosse on today, and also the Bill Michaels show, talking about how smart this team is. They don't run in and outs. They're not getting thrown out at a home plate doing stupid stuff. Okay, the contact play. You know what? We can criticize them on one thing. The contact play doesn't work. I hate the contact play. Never works. Never does anything. One time, I think it's worked this year. The contact. The Cardinals tried the contact play and didn't work. Contact play doesn't work, at least for the Brewers. That is the one criticism. I get the DMs and I see you guys message me on Twitter. Tell Murph to quit the contact play. It's not my place to tell him to do that. On here I could do it, but I'm not going to go to him at the press conference and say, Murph, by the way, when are you going to stop doing that contact play? Fans are really upset about that. But the contact play, I'm with you all. I think it's kind of dumb. So the Brewers did lose. Piguero came up, struggled. Okay. I don't know. Is Piguero going to make the postseason roster anyway? Is he? The Brewers did send down Bryan Hudson. And I wouldn't worry too much about that. We'll get more into that coming up here in a little bit. I'll tell you what, on the Cardinals end, I did like Ryan Helsley going 2 innings. Now, he only pitched like 14 pitches in one of those innings. And then when the Cardinals took the lead with a 3-run 11th, Helsley came back and pitched the bottom of that 12th inning. And I was thinking, would the Brewers do something like that? Would they? Would they bring Devin Williams back for another inning? Or would they just like throw, like Piguero, would they throw him out there just hoping and praying that the guy's going to get through and hold that 3-run lead? I would hope the Brewers would do that. But I mean, the Cardinals doing that, maybe it has something to do with it. He only threw 14 or 15 pitches in that previous inning. But I like that idea. Okay, you burn your closer up, but then if you take the lead, why can't that closer come back for another inning? The Cardinals did it, and the Cardinals aren't even playing for anything right now. So, but when you get to the postseason, we don't do that stupid runner on second base. And with Piguero giving up the runs tonight, I'm not going to get too upset about that. I think that runner on second base is a dumb move anyway. And I know somebody's going to say, well, it's because the Brewers lost. They've won because of it. And when they've won because of it, I said it's dumb anyway. But when a reliever comes on and starts giving up boatloads of runs because he's got one arm tied behind his back with that runner on second base, I'm not going to criticize him too much. Not going to get on him. But back to my original point, the Brewers are a hard team to criticize. They've never lost more than 3 in a row. And you know what? I bet you Wednesday night, what's going to happen? 7-10 first pitch. They'll bounce back and win that game. Take 2 or 3 from the Cardinals. Day off. You know they're going to at least take 2 or 3 or sweep Colorado. Standings update. I heard Rock say on the Brewers after the Brewers lost, well, the Cubs at least lost. Cubs are 10 games out. I don't even care if the Cubs win or lose. And somebody asked me about playing the Cubs in the wild card round if they get there. Let's see where the Cubs are in the wild card round. You know, they had won 6 in a row, and then they've lost the last 2 nights to the Pirates. The Cubs are 4.5 out of the wild card chase at 71-68. You know, I wouldn't. The Cubs of Arizona, San Diego, and Atlanta. The Cubs are obviously the weaker of the 4 teams. But it's not like I wish for the Cubs to get into the wild card round. Hey, remember in 2011, we wished for the Cardinals to beat Philadelphia in the divisional series. They did. And we were like, okay, as long as we don't have to play Philadelphia, we'll take the Cardinals, who got hot in September. And they kept that hotness right through. And the Brewers and Cardinals never made it to a Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. The Cardinals took the Brewers out in 6 games. So I don't wish for anybody. I don't say, God, I hope the Cubs make the postseason. I would have a bad feeling about facing the Cubs, even though the Brewers have dominated the Cubs in the regular season. Wouldn't it be just like our luck, our Brewers' luck, our long-standing sigh of bad luck that the council would knock us out? So I don't want the Cubs to make it. Not that I want to face Atlanta, Arizona, or San Diego, any one of those 3 teams. But, man, getting eliminated by the Cubs in a wild card game, that would sting. That would sting. Although in this state, we've already taken care of Mike McCarthy. The Packers took care of Dallas in the playoffs. It'd be great to do the 2-step and take care of Council in the playoffs too. But I don't want to see the Cubs. I don't even want that scenario. Could happen though. 20,000 at the ballpark on a Tuesday night. Some people are upset about that. We'll get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. eBay Motors. Told you about the guy down the street with eBay Motors, man. He swears by it. He's working his car tonight when I was driving home after playing a little afternoon golf. eBay Motors, he says, passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, also keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has got everything you need to maintain your vehicle, to level it up to peak performance, superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, all that. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. Over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need, the prices you want, easy to make your car the MVP of your neighborhood and bring home the huge wins. Take your ride or die anywhere in the neighborhood, and they'll be amazed how you keep it in such great shape. You'll tell them, ebaymotors.com. And again, with that eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Exclusions apply. Eligible items only. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. And you get the podcast on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your podcast, we are there. Wherever you get an audio podcast, there's millions of places, platforms out there, Apple, whatever, where you can download. Please set us for an alert, subscribe. It's all free. And please go to our growing YouTube page. I want to get to 5,000. I'd love to get to 5,000 by the time the season ends. By the time the season ends in early November, and we do off-season shows, obviously, 2 or 3 times a week as well. I'd like to get to 5,000 subscribers. So please subscribe to YouTube, our channel on YouTube. Go to Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, hit the likes. Please subscribe. All the content, of course, is free here on Locked On Brewers. So I see some of you complaining that there's only 20,027. 20027. 20,027 fans at AmFam Field on a Tuesday night. This is how it is, though, in Milwaukee. Same buddy texted me from St. Louis. Says, where are all the fans? Yeah, the Brewers are 20 games over the 500 mark, but this is what happens. School's back. All right. Sunday, when the Brewers are playing against Colorado, they'll have a great crowd again. Sundays will draw great Brewer crowds, even up against the Packer game. Even Friday's Packer game, they're playing in Brazil. The Packers move their game time to 5 o'clock. But when they're on a Sunday afternoon, the Packers will never move their game time on a Sunday afternoon. If the Packers play at 1 or the Packers play at noon, the Brewers play at 1, Brewers will still get their 40,000 out there up against the Packers. So the Packers has nothing. Somebody asked, well, the start of the Packers season has something to do with it. Yeah, the Packers are the number one team in the state. As far as attention and fandom. Yeah, I get that with the Green Bay Packers. And I'm a Packer fan too. Brewers are my favorite team, but most Wisconsinites, the Packers are their favorite team, I would say. But 20,000 fans on a Tuesday night for a first place team, I don't have any problem with it because that's the way it is. That's the way it is in Milwaukee. Contender, non-contender, and it's not because we have bad fans. We got great fans. Let's remember, I reminded this person, let's remember the Brewers have not won a World Series title and been to one World Series in their franchise and haven't been there in 42 years. To get 20,000 when you're 22 games up on the 500 mark is still okay by me. Until the Brewers show some championship pedigree, okay, 20,000 is good. I think attendance has been great. When you could, well, I don't care if you're giving up prime ribs on a Sunday or Saturday night, when you are drawing 35, 40,000 and you have no championship history, I think that's fantastic. Team almost moved a couple of times. Okay. We do got a beautiful stadium. I have no problem with 20,000 fans on a Tuesday night, just off Labor Day weekend at AmFam Field. None at all. None at all. They're not going to get 40,000 on Tuesday night. Playoff game, yes. Regular season game against St. Louis, no. Not at all. So, some of you guys who are complaining about that, that's just the way it is. Some of you are out there and saying, where are the fans? Yeah, it did look a little sparse out there, but that's the way it is in Milwaukee. School's back, coming off the Labor Day weekend. Labor Day weekend. And the mode kind of changes during the week. The mode kind of changes. Where in the summertime, yeah, you could get 30,000, but 20,000. And, you did have some Cardinal fans come up, but I noticed that not as many Cardinal fans as in the past because they're out of the race too. And of course, it's September. Murph, Manager of the Year. I get asked about this a lot. And I'll say this again. Well, maybe I've never said this part here, but the Baseball Writers Association of America votes for the Manager of the Year. I don't have a vote, but those who cover and follow Major League Baseball every step of the way, all 162, every team has got a beat reporter. Brewers have a couple. If anybody in Major League Baseball does not vote Pat Murphy a first place vote for Manager of the Year, they should have their membership taken away for the Writers Association, because I don't know what you're watching or thinking. There is no doubt. I mean, Pat Murphy Manager of the Year isn't even a conversation. It's not. It shouldn't even be. Well, is Pat Murphy going to be Manager of the Year? Of course, he's going to be Manager of the Year. It's what idiot is not going to vote for him for Manager of the Year, because it should be unanimous. Unanimous. I mean, name an argument against him. All right, the injuries, everything. Bullpen has been great. The no-name starting rotation. You name it. Everything on this team. Losing Yelich, and still he's got these. He loses Yelich, and still he He's what maybe 12 games over the 500 mark since Yelich is gone. Only team in baseball with nothing more than a 3-game skid. Find an argument against Pat Murphy for Manager of the Year. I'd love to hear it. There's none. So I am gonna. I when those votes come out in the offseason, when Manager of the Year is awarded, I'd like to see. I'm going to find out who does it, because there's going to be a couple of guys. It's like with Hall of Fame voting. There's always a couple of writers, broadcasters, or whatever who don't vote, make somebody unanimous for whatever reason. All right. In baseball, some of these guys don't like a particular manager and they won't vote for him. Now, I don't know who. Murphy's not been here long, just for his first year, so I don't know if he's had time to rub anybody the wrong way, and he didn't. He's a good guy and he's doing a good job. Pat Murphy, unanimous Manager of the Year, no question about it. All right, we'll wrap up some roster moves that happened with the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll do that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Over 5 million active members. PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, PrizePicks, it's you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch those winnings roll right in. Let's say you like this weekend, Caleb Williams over and under passing yardage, Jordan Love over and under passing yardage, Jackson Churio to hit a home run, any combinations like that, you can 10 times your money. But first, you got to download the PrizePicks app, use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, and get $50 instantly when you play $5. Yeah, $50 you'll get interest instantly when you play the $5. But you got to use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, PrizePicks. You don't even need to win when you place that $5 to receive the $50 bonus, but it's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. PrizePicks. Need to check it out, because pick anywhere from 2 to 6 players and watch the winnings roll right in. Gametime, talking about going to the game on Wednesday night, 7:10, Sirius XM, the SXM app. Search Brewers. You get all 162 of the Brewers games. And if you're going to the game, you're thinking about going to the game, you're getting off of work and thinking, I'd like to head out there and be part of that 20,000 out there on a Wednesday night. Well, you're going to find a lot of good seats on Gametime. Gametime app, whether it's Brewer tickets, NBA, NHL, theater, concerts, you name it. Gametime is the place to go. Gametime is the place to go. Panoramic views from your seat in the app before you buy. And if you find a price anywhere on somebody else's app cheaper, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Ticket coverage or purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticket industry. But here's what you got to do. You got to download the Gametime app first, create an account, use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. And when you find a couple of seats you want, you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB, $20. The price says $70. You'll get it for $50. Download the Gametime app. What time is it? It's Gametime. I tell you, I buy my Sunday Brewers tickets. I bought them from there, Gametime. And I'll tell you, last minute tickets are the best thing. That's their super deals right there. Last minute price guarantee. You just the seats before you buy them. It's all good. But man, once you get inside that 1 hour, those ticket prices start to drop, and you could be a winner with Gametime. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Down the stretch we come here on Locked On Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Final game of the series coming up, the Cardinals on Wednesday night. Usually it's an afternoon game, but it's going to be a night game. The Brewers have off on Thursday, and they'll be home on Friday, 5:10 with that start against Colorado. Adames, 100 RBIs, first time in his career. That was cool to see. Ashby, 8 scoreless innings, just continues to be great. Some of the roster moves, Peguero recalled from Nashville. Hudson option. I know some of you were wondering about option. Why Hudson was optioned. He's got options. His velo has been down a little bit. The innings are up there, most he's ever pitched. I think they're going to give him some R&R down there. I really do. I think that's what it's all about. Because Hudson, he's going to be on the postseason roster. All right. And even with that velo down, he's been pitching real good. So don't worry about that. Nothing to see here. Hudson will be on the postseason roster, but him being optioned down to AAA, don't get all worried and worked up about that. It's not a big deal. Wilson, though, going to the 15-day injured list. Wilson, gave us some good extra innings on Sunday in Cincinnati, but he's got an oblique injury right now. So Wilson, going to need him back. I've done a 180 on Wilson and his value to this team. Hopefully Wilson will be back soon. Hobie Milner. I think Hobie's still got to earn a spot in this team for the postseason roster. He's been reinstated from the injured list. I think he needs a big September. With the emergence of Ashby, there's only so many pitchers you could have on that postseason roster. I'm not so certain in my book if Milner belongs there just yet. That's just me. And that's going to do it for the show today. Thank you, everybody. Again, download our podcast, Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your podcast. We are there talking Brewers baseball for you 24 hours a day. Download the podcast, hit the subscribe button, and please, our growing YouTube page. I mentioned I want to get to 5,000. Please hit me up on YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, hit the likes, do whatever you can to promote the podcast. We are free, coming with you, free content, talking Brewers baseball with you year round, and Monday through Friday, right here. And of course, in the playoffs, we'll be here daily. It's going to do it. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers. For your second listen, go to Locked On MLB, and my guy Sully will have all the major league talk from around the league on Locked On MLB. Until Wednesday night, later on tonight, everybody, late night, we'll talk to you after the game between the Brewers and Cardinals. Have yourself a good Wednesday, everybody.